Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host here, Chantele Francis. Here is my lovely co-host, Matt. How are you doing today, Matt?
Good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty excited to talk about, I think it's been a really good week in reality TV. So I'm in a
Oh
good
my
mood.
gosh, yes.
How
I
are
know
you doing?
everything. It's everything. I'm good. I finished watching the challenge. I finished watching last night's Big Brother. Finished watching all 4 episodes in one shot of The Circle.
Me
Like
too.
I'm running out of things to watch.
I know. So okay, so this has what, 2 more weeks, or is next week the last week? Do you
So
know?
there's 4 more episodes next week, and then
Mm-hmm.
there's the week later is the finale.
Okay, so there's still 8. We're halfway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess what I'm thinking that I'm gonna watch The Hills, season 2 of the
The
remake.
Hills. Wait, is that back? They brought that back?
Well, you didn't know that they brought it back a first time, so I think it was last year they brought it back. The Hills 10 years later, and now they're doing season 2, and so it's like Brody breaking up with Caitlyn, and all these
Oh my
different
gosh.
boob
No,
jobs and cheek
well,
implants, or I
first
don't
of
know.
all, I'm not surprised, but no, I've never watched The Hills. It was never my thing. But
Oh.
yeah, so definitely not my show. But that came out like I was still in college. I was too busy partying to watch The Hills. So
No, I love The Hills for sure. And so that's probably what I'm going to start watching. I think it starts mid-May. So that's probably what I'll be doing instead of The Circle, because I think it'll be a nice little, baton pass off. But that's not what we're talking here today. We're talking about The Circle, episode 5, 6, 7, and 8. So what were your overall thoughts on week 2?
loved it. I did. I'm thoroughly enjoying the season so far. I think there's a lot of drama. I think a lot of catfishes have been kind of caught. And the twist, I like the twist and where they went with it. So it was the first time, to my knowledge, it was the first time that anything like this has happened. So on the circle or for any
Has it?
franchise, really.
Well, which one? Which twist? The twist that we're starting off with or ending off with?
Correct. The one
The
that we're starting off with.
Okay, so getting right to it, we are starting with Courtney being invited into the inner circle. Now, this is because Savannah was blocked and went to see the player that she thought was most deserving to win. And so the Joker, we learn what he gets to do, and is going to be able to chat with 2 new players first and anonymously. So he's going to be able to give them any sort of information that may favor him or be bad for other people in the game. So what did you think about that power?
Fantastic power. I wish, that was a normal staple in the show because it definitely adds a layer of mystery to it. And also you don't really know who you're talking to. So it becomes more of a game for the new people as well, right?
It's
Trying to
like,
figure out who this person is.
and who they're talking about as well, because you're just, or who the Joker is, and like who they're talking about in the circle, and are they being serious, and like let figure out who the Joker. Yeah, all of it I think is really interesting for the new players, to have
Yeah.
that kind of as a framework for what they want to be figuring out in their own personal game. So I thought it was a fun way to have the new players enter the game, and then a fun way to have Courtney have this new power. So he says, Emily and Terralisha, watch your back. Were you surprised that he was going to go so strong against Emily and Terralisha?
No, I'm not surprised. He seems like the type of person that would do that. Like he's got his targets and he knows what he needs to do. I think he was very clever in the way that he brought it up to them, and he did it in a way to bring shed light to make it look like Emily did it. So, but as you have to also consider as the new players, like, well, it makes sense that it would have been Emily, but why would Emily do that to herself? Do you know what I mean? So it's
Mm-hmm.
like somebody's trying to frame her because yeah, that's the only thing that I thought about that, but I did think that he did it in a really good way because initially I don't think anybody thought it was him. They thought it was Emily. So
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
because he brought up Khloe. It was Khloe and Tara Alicia.
Well, yeah, he did bring up Khloe, but he also but Emily is who he's actually was coming for, it seems. So, like, he did bring that up to, I believe, the two new people. Can't remember exactly, but I know that
No, because he wanted to make them believe that Emily was the Joker, so he
right. So he
didn't use
said
Emily's
Khloe.
name at all.
He
He said it
implied,
was
right.
Khloe and Tara Alicia, implying that it was Emily that was saying it to them.
Correct. And then when he was
Yeah.
saying to us, like he was saying, Emily and Tara Alicia, watch your back. But yeah, he did kind of
Yes.
throw it out there and basically taking Savannah's message that there are multiple snakes in the house. I'm just like, ah! So after that happens, Courtney's back as his regular self, and there's a circle chat. But we have Phil here. Hi, Phil. How are you? Phil says he's only seen episode 5 and 6 this week. Love the Joker power. So much destruction can be done without getting blood on your hands if you don't get caught. It's true. I think it's a pretty good power. One thing I don't know if it's because this is only the second season and third season in the UK, like that it hasn't happened often, but I really usually can't stand twists that interfere with the game. But this one, I'm into it. Like it works really well, and I don't mind it interfering with people's games that much. I'm kind of like, I'm okay with this twist. I like it.
Well, I think the reason why I agree with you wholeheartedly, I believe that, in a lot of cases, the twist can totally screw somebody up. You know what I mean? Or like it definitely leans towards favoring one person. But in this situation, because that person is anonymous, also it doesn't really impact directly with a vote or anything like that or rankings. I definitely think that it was a good way to stir the pot a little bit without being too direct, I agree.
Absolutely. And it requires you to use quite a bit of strategy to figure out like what should I say to not look that obvious, to not give myself away. Like there's a few layers to it. So I think if you're going to use it effectively, it's definitely very possible, especially if you're a capable player. So he definitely did a good job. So Courtney in the group chat with the rest of the circle people says that he was devastated to have to see his girl go, and this is what he's messaging the people in the chat, but he throws it out there. Did anyone get to meet her last night? I have unfortunately got ghosted again. I felt that it was a little heavy-handed. What do you think about the fact that he's really laying it on thick that he didn't get seen by Savannah?
I mean, to be honest with you, I think like the only reason he's not saying that it was him is because he's worried that people will see him as a threat because of what Savannah might have told him. Especially Tara Alicia, she definitely would see that as a threat. So I think like him trying to throw people off his scent that she did come to see him, I understand why, but it was just so extra the way it was done that it makes me believe like he's definitely trying to make it look like that she didn't show up. But you know what I mean? It was too much.
A little bit obvious. But the people were noticing maybe, but like they didn't really call him out completely. So he should be a little bit more careful with how he trickles out other information when he's playing as himself. It seems like he doesn't finesse that yet.
I definitely see that coming up in the future. If anonymous questions come up again, that may be something that they might bring up. Who knows?
So Tara Alicia in this group chat said something about, I just want you to know the real me. And she puts real in all capital letters. Why do you think she did that? Like she is very smart. And I would think like if you put real, like it's just like what we're saying about Courtney here being like, I didn't see her. The real person, like it just seems as though you are professing like I'm real. And it's kind of like, are you? Like you didn't have to talk like profess so much. So what do you think about her saying that?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I didn't really think too much about because she's been saying throughout like that episode how she wanted people to get to know her and to see the different side that maybe I think she was just trying to make it seem like Savannah was saying X, Y, and Z about her, but that wasn't the case and that wasn't true. I think it was just her way of trying to promote her good side. So because she knows at this point that she's going to be a target even still because Savannah's gone, she's still causing a lot of drama, so people may see her as a threat too to leave.
I know, it was such a bad idea for her to get in that fight with Savannah. She should have just let it go.
Yeah,
Let it go,
100%
because
agree.
if you
And
want people to
so
like you,
early as well.
right? It
So
was like
early as well.
yeah, like the second blocking, like just chill, like be like, oh, okay, I really want to get in a fight with you here, but I really want to stay in the game. I don't want people to dislike me. But they couldn't do it. So we get introduced to two new Circle fam members. We got Mitchell. He's 22 from Pennsylvania. He's Ed and Tammy. Okay, you're swooning. Are you hot? You hot for little Mitchell?
Oh, oh my God, he's like a little jalapeno pepper, just delicious and hot.
Really? It's so interesting, people's tastes, because I look at him, I'm like, okay, he's okay, but like he's definitely not my cup of tea. But to each their own. I thought it was cool though that his mom and brother were on season 1. Did you know that? Or hear did you hear about that?
No, had he not said it, I would not have known. I honestly,
Okay.
to me, they don't really look alike even.
Oh,
I don't really see it.
Phil preferred Ed. Is it because Ed was like a little bit more like hands dirty, rugged type? Huh, Philly?
See, I didn't really care for Ed. I found him kind of boring and blah, and I don't know. I mean, sure, he's a nice enough guy, but like, I don't know. I feel like his brother definitely has more charisma and definitely a lot more strategy. He's definitely doing some work, putting in
I
some work.
heard though that Ed is going to be on the challenge season 37.
I did hear that. I heard that, and I heard a couple of other Survivor and Big Brother players as well.
Other Big Brother? Uh-oh. I think hopefully that's changed. Who's the other Big Brother? Just tell me.
To be honest, I can't remember.
Okay,
I
good.
briefly read an article the other day.
Okay, hopefully it's changed since, because I haven't heard any new Big Brother people.
I can't. It was a woman. It was a girl. I can't remember who it was though.
Okay, I'll probably remember and think about it. Okay, so he's also a virgin. What do you think about this? I think this is the first virgin that's, declaring to be a virgin on the Circle. I think it's interesting.
Yeah. I don't honestly know if I believe it. I don't know. I mean, if he is, good for him. I mean, looking like that, it would be really, 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 really difficult to stay a virgin. Let's be honest.
I would think so. He definitely is. He's handsome. He's pretty good at flirting. So it is quite surprising that he hasn't. He's not fully experienced, but maybe he's done lots of other little things here and there. Maybe he's had like a long-term girlfriend. So I am curious to see him flirt and stuff just because of this fact, for sure. Should have used the black and white. Oh, so what if he used the black and white body shot? Do you think that would have been a good picture for him to have used for the Circle? He's like this.
No. No. So he made the right decision. Instantly, I would have seen that. I would have seen that photo, and I would have said, A, catfish, or B, so full of himself. Like, he needs to go. So full of himself. So
yeah,
I'm glad he didn't use that. He was absolutely on the money with that.
It was a good picture, but like it can't even be on your own profile. Like it just like you can't post that really. It's just it's not good. And our other new player is Kat. She's 27. She's 6'7" in shoes. Volleyball player. She plays volleyball professionally. I actually really liked Kat. She's a lot of energy. She seems happy to be there. She wants to play the game. Like I thought she was definitely a good addition to the Circle.
I absolutely adore her. I think she's awesome, and she literally just like jumped right in. Like she didn't like stick her toe in the water. She dove in head first, and she's like good with everybody. Like we know this based on her ranking. So
exactly. I like her a lot. She makes me smile. Like so I like Tara Lisha, but like sometimes she's like, I wish that she was better at getting along with people. Do you know what I mean? And so like, if I just compare the two of them, I think it's only because they have like, she has a blue piece in her hair. So I'm comparing them right now, but like, how Kat's coming in, she's just like kind of warm and she gets along with people and she's friendly. And Tara Lisha, she is friendly, but she also has this air of like, I don't know, a little bit of attitude or something that I can see that people, there's a veneer, there's something that people can't really get to the real her. So I can see why people are not really gravitating towards her as much, even though I like her a lot, you know? And we have Dolores here. Hi, Dolores.
Hello,
You agree.
Dolores. There's something, I think there might be a little bit of caution in the wind when it comes to Tara Alicia, just because of the past and what has happened already with Savannah. So some people may have some doubts about her even still, and they're just being cordial and whatnot. But I mean, I can't deny that I would probably be in there and doing the same thing. I'd be like a little bit cautious, and you'd have to consider whether to take her words as for face value, right? So
it's true. I know. I think, yeah. I mean, I don't think that Kat would put herself in that same position, but if she were, maybe she would be playing a little more similarly. I'm not sure, but I do want to see what happens for sure. So we get the alert, and everybody screams as usual, and Courtney goes to the inner circle. So is now going to go and talk with Kat and Mitchell. So he's looking at their profiles. He doesn't, wait, sorry, who was doing that? So no, Kat was looking at profiles and doesn't believe that Lance is real, which I think is hilarious. That she just like calls it out like right away. Kat likes Tara Alicia. So good. So except for about Trevor, which we'll get to, I'm sure. But like other than that, she's usually like bang on with her people. So yeah, she thinks that Khloe and Lance and Emily are on the catfish spectrum here. Mitchell thinks Emily is hot, which is funny, and suspects something fishy about Lance as well. So Lance doesn't seem to be pulling things off with the new people. And now they're going to meet Courtney as the Joker. So yes, like you said, Courtney wants the new players to think that Emily is the worst person in the circle, and that they should try to get rid of her. And she doesn't want there to seem to be any unity within the girls. So what did I say? She delivers one shot to each. What do I mean by that? She delivers one shot to each. Emily.
So basically, the Joker called them out, because remember, Kat asked, she's like, "Oh, can you give me some names?" And he said, "Khloe and Emily, or no, Khloe and was it Tara Alicia? Can't be trusted."
Ooh. I mean, I think that he did a pretty good job, but I do wish that it wasn't them, because I think that I understand why Courtney's upset. Courtney did have to see Savannah, and she got all this extra information, and he was definitely given his, he got excited about the fact, like, oh my God, I can't believe Tara Alicia was trying to block me. From what I saw, Tara Alicia wasn't really trying to block him hard. It was just somebody, and I agree that it was somebody that she didn't know very well, and she backed off as soon as Savannah said that that's no, you know what I mean? So the fact that she thinks that Tara Alicia was really coming for her so hard, like it's actually, that is the untruth there. So I just feel a little bit bad that Tara Alicia kind of got a bad shake, but it is her fault.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Yeah, because Tara Alicia, I specifically recall that conversation in the room where she was like, I see him as a big threat. But yeah, like I can see that they hadn't had much conversation, so it would make sense that she would want to go after him. I think the problem was that she didn't know how close that Savannah and Courtney were, right? So
yeah, she might have not have been so like, no, I think we should get rid of him. And she's like, oh, excuse me. Like, anyways, I mean, I'm sure that Savannah was just a little bit bitter, so she kind of like made it sound a little bit worse just to get some revenge. So I get it. Hello, Fire and Air. Thanks for joining us here. We have, how do you think Courtney did as the Joker? As for Lance, I'm sorry that that would be my first target. Absolutely. Is it me, or was Lance just not being so super social? 100%. And Dolores also says, right, Chantele, I think Savannah was giving her truth. Yes, agreed with that. So how do we think that Lance is a Joker? I would say that he did a pretty decent job. I wish that he wasn't so tunnel vision, and maybe set himself up a little bit better. You know what I mean? But I think he did. I'd give him a 7.5 out of 10. What about you?
Well, to be honest, like with Courtney, I mean, like as we know, he's got his targets. He wants Emily out number one, right? So I think he did a really good job with making Emily A look like the Joker and B putting a target on them by saying they can't be trusted. So it's like as newbies going into this, the first thing you're going to do is try to get down to business, figure out what the truth is, and get as much information from each person, right? So if there's already a shadow of doubt about the girls when they come into the game, they're going to use that, and it's going to be on the top of their mind, right? So I think he did a good job with it.
For what he wanted to accomplish, I just don't know if it was the best for his game. You know what I mean? Like, I think if he... Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's putting himself in a position where, you know, he's making it seem like it's Emily, but they're going to also have doubts because they're going to, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to explain what I'm thinking, but go ahead.
Well, no, but so what I'm thinking is that, like, yes, it is good that he has his target. Like, he wants Emily and Teralisha to be not favored by the new people. I get that, but it might have been better to keep the knowledge that he doesn't necessarily like Teralisha and Emily, and maybe use it a little bit later. You know what I mean? Like, I just felt that it might have been better to build stronger bonds instead of just like immediately throwing people under the bus and then making it about people trying to figure out who was the Joker. You know what I mean? Because then he's having to always be like, oh, do they think I'm the Joker? And it just makes it a little bit more difficult for him to stay anonymous. So I thought that he should have maybe just chilled a little bit and been a little bit more anonymous for his own game. But for the show, thank you. It was great.
Thanks for the entertainment.
Thanks for the entertainment. Now, they're not allowed to really say anything about having this chat, which... What do you think about that? Should they have been able to talk about, like, hey, we got visited by an anonymous player? Considering they end up telling them anyways.
Yeah, I don't know, honestly. Like, I can't imagine, like, why would you need or want to filter that? Like, just let it, like, that would start a whole other can of worms if they were able to talk about it. There would be more drama stirred up from it, which obviously the viewers want. So I don't understand why they said they couldn't talk about it.
Yeah, me neither. Maybe it was just like the timing. They wanted to save that for later, I guess.
Maybe, yeah.
So Dolores says Courtney's playing the game in full force. They told them in the audience they only wanted strategic players. Good. I'm glad they only wanted strategic players. So that's probably why he made that decision to like look like he's really maneuvering and making things happen. Yeah. So that makes sense.
He definitely is, and he's been trying to get those snakes out of the garden for how many weeks now?
I mean, it was a close call at the end of this week. So the newbies are lurking all the different profiles, which would be really fun to do. I do love looking at people's pictures and profiles and figuring out who they are. That's pretty fun. And so, wait, what happened? So Trevor doesn't think that Emily's pictures match her personality. Oh, okay. So the players that were currently in the house, they got to upload some new pictures with a hashtag. And so newbies are obviously able to lurk. And then all the old players are seeing the new pictures that are being posted. So I agree that, I know he's your friend, but like, I wish that he knew how to be a girly girl a little bit better. Because it's 100%. Trevor is right on the money. The way that she looks in those pictures isn't the type of personality that he's giving off with what he's typing. You know what I mean? I think he should have researched that a little bit more, especially if this is his friend.
Right. Absolutely. And I'm sure we'll get to that part later on with the Glamikins. We'll get there.
We'll get there. I didn't hate Teralisha's photos, but everybody dislikes Teralisha's photos, especially Courtney. Did you have a problem with it? Her blue hair and like it's pretty.
I don't remember the pictures, to be honest. I only remember one, and it was Mitchell and his butt hanging out, and I was not sad about it. That's all I remember.
Well, we can get to that picture. So the new people's picture. So we have what's his name again? Mitchell's picture. His hashtag is free falling, and he is doing a little bit of a starfish into a lake, butt naked. And Matt is saying yes.
Yes. Love that picture. I thought it was very cheeky. It was very fun. It was a great way to show his personality and that he's kind of a free spirit. And I think, honestly, I think that will work in getting people to, think that he's easygoing. Because, someone like him, like an attractive, manly jock guy might come across as a bit intimidating, perhaps. So I think it was good that he showed the fun side right off the hop, and it's one of those um, easy to discuss things first off the hop. You know what I mean? When he gets in.
Mm-hmm. What did you think about Khloe's hashtag, I'll put anything in my mouth? I didn't mind it. People were coming for her. It's like she's always been cheeky and like has a little bit of a flirt and has the banter. So I didn't mind it at all.
I didn't mind it either. I mean, that's her personality, and I mean, she is who she is, and people have already seen that side of her, so I'm not sure why people are surprised.
At all. Maybe the captions, they're just surprised that like somebody would actually act that way. Khloe already
she wasn't being serious.
No, of course not. And she's just like being cheeky, funny banter.
Yeah, exactly.
And she's also super into Mitchell by a photo. She's like you. She's swooning over the hotness of Mitchell. What happened to Trevor?
That comment, I almost died. I was like, oh my God. She's like, Trevor who? honestly, like I laughed so hard. It was perfect. It was the best one-liner of the episode for sure. But I mean, can you blame her? Look at him and look at that.
Nice.
Oh, I can't. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a bit.
Flushed, a little bit flushed. So the circle chat is open. Mitchell is the first to respond. He's just in there. And I think that they all pretty much accept the new people, and they're quite excited about the new people being there. In a separate chat, Trevor starts one with his beautiful black queens. Is that already there? Oh my God, that was so quick. But I guess it did happen right then.
Yeah.
So with Tara Alicia and Kat. And so Trevor's asking for their favorite mantra. Kat motivational stuff she learned growing up in the sports world as a woman. And then Trevor also asked Tara Alicia about the drama. So what did you think about this group chat of Mr. Trevor?
I don't know. I do think that it was odd that was asked again by Trevor about the drama. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't think that was probably in his best interest to do that, because it was already brought up once before, but guys try not to get involved with drama, and yet it was brought up yet again. So I don't know. I thought it was a weird question to ask, but in general, I think that it was a good way to get to know one of the new people, and setting up that chat. I don't think it was bad for his game. I just think that question may have been something that would have been a red flag for me.
Totally agree. And like, I guess I wish that they had a little bit more finesse so they can get information to people without asking them directly. You know what I mean? So that would have been very interesting to watch if he was just like super smooth and like got it out of her without being like, so what's the drama? Like, you wouldn't really ask
just
that
like
if you're a dude.
Plain blunt out of thin air. I agree 100%.
So the other chat, so Lance has a group chat with Khloe and River. And so she's kind of wondering if she should tell the boys here that she fancies Mitchell. But so instead that she says that, do you think that Trevor is worried about me? Which I'm like, Khloe, that's pretty equally as obvious as saying like, I'm interested in Mitchell. Trevor should be worried.
She's so funny. I don't know what it is, but I find her so wildly entertaining.
What's so interesting is my little sister is the same age as her, and like she's so much more of like a woman and like flirting and guys and kissing and making sexual puns, and like my sister is so like still a teenager compared to her. Like it's so interesting to see someone the same age, so much younger or older, So I think it was River that responded here and said that that she thinks that they are genuinely into each other, Khloe and Trevor. And Khloe was kind of annoyed by this because she's like, I don't want to be everybody to think that we're super into each other. But that's what River decided to say, even though he kind of was tipped off that maybe Khloe likes a little bit of a Mitchell.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, she can do what she wants. She's a grown-ass woman. Not like they're married or anything. They're literally in front of a screen. So flirt with whoever you want. It's what you're gonna have to deal with, like the repercussions of that if something happens. That's on you and nobody else.
So what do you think about the private chat that was started with Emily and Mitchell? Emily flirting,
Yes.
Emily crafting this message, and Mitchell's loving her approach and tells him. So Emily does tell him, though, that him and Khloe, or her and Khloe, were the influencers. So that's some information. I thought it was a good idea to say that, just to like show that there's some trust there, and like just kind of want to like bring him into the circle. So I thought that was good. But he also goes, leg day, and like, how about we track each other's progress? Does that get you? Talk about leg day?
No. I would have been like, huh? Like, is this flirting? What is this?
I was so shocked that it was working.
Yeah, I mean, no, that wasn't even Emily. I was thinking about the bath, but that was something different. But with Emily, like they were like the winky faces and the tongue out and things like that. Those would be obvious, but the leg day, I would have been like, what?
He's a really bad flirter. Like Emily's is not cute, but Mitchell is okay with it. He likes the boldness of Emily so far. Hasn't been tipped off by the fact that Emily isn't who she says she is. So the final Joker message is, so we see Courtney in the inner circle, and he has a huge decision to make. He has to choose one person to be the influencer in the next blocking. So what do you think about this as another twist?
I think it's good, but only if you're in a good position. You know what I mean? If you're somebody who's at the bottom and you're not in a good position, then it doesn't really matter who you pick. I guess there's still one other influencer as well, right? So I think it's a good twist. It gives him an opportunity to keep himself safe, right?
I was wondering though, like I hadn't thought it through yet. Do you think it would have been best if he decided it was him? Like if he chose himself to be the influencer?
I was thinking that, but I'm like they never actually mentioned whether or not he could pick himself or not. Because I was wondering, I was like, can you not just pick himself? And like that was never clearly explained. Do you have to pick someone else? Can you pick yourself? If you can pick yourself, if you do pick yourself, would that be too obvious? You know what I mean? Like there was no strategy or logic behind, what options he had. I wish they had kind of explained to us what he could and couldn't do.
Me too, because I was like, he may want to pick himself just to make sure that he's in there, and like, because who knows who the other influencer would be and how influential they could be as well. And so I would probably want to put myself in there, but I also understand putting your number one ally in there is probably the next best thing. So I think he did the best that he could with it. So this was the end of episode 5. So episode 6, who will Courtney choose? I thought he was going to choose Trevor. Who do you think he was going to choose to be the influencer?
See, the thing is, though, is like at this point, like I don't know who he's super, super close with. You know what I mean? Because he's kind of everywhere, like back and forth, and with fake friendships with people. So I honestly wasn't sure. I kind of had a feeling it would be, River. I thought maybe, possibly Lance, maybe. But I didn't think he would pick any of the girls, obviously.
No.
And I wasn't sure how he was with Trevor. So I figured it would have been River or maybe Lance.
Gotcha. So they don't let us know what he's going to do with it yet. And they actually kind of troll us a little bit by saying, like, we're not going to let you find out this yet. But they do go to Emily, who wants to start a circle chat with Courtney. I thought it was a good call for him to do that. And so did Courtney, pretty much, being like, oh, look at Emily. Okay, so she's sensing something. Like, you know, maybe she needs to come and fix things with Courtney, which she really, really does. So she starts off with some compliments. And Courtney thinks about it, but he's going to lay it on thick and be like, oh, I love you, girl, and me and you, we're the best, and we're good. And so Emily, though, still susses this out as ass-kissing for real. But he also says that he wants Khloe, Courtney, River, and herself would be his ideal four. What do you think of Emily's assessment of the situation, and then also that foursome? You don't like the foursome?
I think it's just a random foursome. Like, I think between the bad blood between, you know, Courtney and Emily, like, they're, like, especially with Courtney, his drama towards Emily, and you know what I mean? I just think it's really weird. But you know what they say, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. So, I mean, I do think that it would have been an interesting thing, you know what I mean, to have that. But I still don't know. I just think that Courtney is one of those people, like, once he's set on he set on something, he's set on it. Like, he's done with Emily. She could literally, you know, give him $1 million check and he would be like, fuck Emily. You know what I mean? So I could be wrong, but that's just the vibe that he gives off, you know?
I agree with that vibe for sure. I mean, I think it was a good foursome because he has Courtney, who he trusts. I don't think he realizes that Courtney dislikes him as much as Courtney does, and I don't think that he realizes how much Courtney is actually coming for him. And I think he's just also suspecting that Courtney and River are pretty close. So he's like, let's get two close duos together and bring us together and see if, you know, offering this will get me in his good graces or just leave me off of someone that he wants to be blocked. So I think it was a good plan, but Courtney's onto him for sure. So Mitchell is working out. Do you think that part of his contract was that he never was to be wearing a shirt?
That was literally one of the things. I'm like, there has been one scene in all of the episodes where he was wearing a shirt. That was it. I don't know if that was part of his contract or if he just loves showing off. Either way, I'm not sad about it. I'm not gonna lie, but I definitely was thinking about that too.
And this is where he's talking to Miss Khloe in the bath. It's very convenient that she happened to be in the bath when there's a circle chat going on. So she does respond to him, and that was a very, very excellent bubble bath. So it seemed a little bit staged, we'll say.
It does, especially since that is the same time where she was having a discussion. Oh no, they started together with him, and then Trevor came after. Never mind.
But so Chloe's in the bath, convenient. And she wants Mitchell to flirt with her, and he does, and talks about her being like a hot red chili pepper, and you know, she's like, "Oh my god, I love him." Chloe's very easy to please. I think that that's part of her youth there, that she's easily pleased. Yeah. But I still enjoy it.
About being bigger? Do you remember?
What did he say? No, I thought I was going to remember. It was
being bigger, and he says, you know what they say about big hands, big feet, or something like that.
Right. Okay. No, he said, something about like, can I get in the bath with you or something? She's like, oh, well, the bath is kind of small. Like you won't be able to fit if you're too big or something. He's like, and then he said something like that. Dolores, what did he say?
Yeah.
And he said,
being bigger.
I don't know if I'll fit because, you know, I have big hands. You know what that means? And she's like, oh, I do. And then he's like, big feet. That's true.
That's so funny.
And he's like, she does have the bands. They were talking about the bands and like, the bantas, the bands, got the bands. And so she likes that he's a little bit flirty, teasing, you know, kind of sexual innuendos and whatnot. So she's enjoying this
Mhm.
little moment with Mitchell, but then Trevor interrupts it, which I think is also quite convenient, because they put these people on a schedule as to when they can talk to whom. So they knew that she was in the middle of a circle chat with Mitchell when they're sending Trevor to have a circle chat with Khloe. So it would have been interesting if Khloe said denied, like, and just like continue with Mitchell. And it would have been, and it was interesting with how it did go down with her pretty much just like ending the chat pretty abruptly, and Mitchell is ready to like, okay, good night and have a good day, and she's like already like exited the chat. You think she could have done that
Yes.
better?
I wasn't sure if she was going to answer, to be honest. I thought she was going to decline it.
I did too,
I
actually.
thought she was going to say, "Oh, I'll message him later."
Me too. So Dolores says, no shirt, Mitchell. Okay, Khloe, the girl is a hoot. You think that was staged? I love how she was juggling. She's a riot, but Mitchell flirted better. He has big feet. Trevor didn't do it as well, in my opinion. Well, this is something that Khloe continuously says, is that she likes what Trevor says to her. So even in this conversation that she goes to her in the private chat, she talks about, oh, where would you take me on a date? And you know, like she wants to go to Bali, and like the things that they're talking about is very kind and like wanting to get to know Khloe and do activities together, and not just thinking like a man would. And so Khloe's noticing this. So it's good for building a friendship, but not necessarily good for making someone believe that you're a male catfish that's interested in you. At all.
100%.
What do you think about the hashtag Jay-Z and Beyonce hashtag my number one? So Trevor, Khloe's number one.
I mean, at this point, I would have already suspected Trevor just based off of everything that has been said, and you know, the whole the too hot to handle thing would have been an instant like, oh. So the fact, but I feel like you said in our last conversation, I feel like she's blinded by like the attention that she's getting, that she doesn't see these things. So I don't know. I mean, I think that it's just basically a preview of the love triangle that will be her and Trevor and eventually Mitchell, I think.
Yes, it shall be. Okay, so Laura says this is because Trevor is talking to her like a woman. Now, woman knows what she likes to hear from a man. That's why Felix did so well in the last season in the UK. 100%. You know, you just say the right things. You're like, oh my God, it's perfect. Oh my God, the perfect man. And you're like,
The perfect
no.
man does exist.
You know, woman's body. So they have a little circle competition called Batter Up where they had to make some pancake art. Have you ever made any pancake art before?
No.
No. Me neither, but I thought that this was kind of fun. And they had to make something that resembles them or like exudes them. And so we had River, he had an ugly peacock. Trevor, I think it was a bear. I didn't know what Courtney's was at all. A panda, he says, but I didn't know what it looked like. I don't know what it was. Lance's looked like a frog. Just like, what is that? Mitchell, I put some more question mark. A lion question mark. Emily's question mark. I don't know what it was. And Khloe didn't have one, did she?
Khloe?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Yeah, didn't Khloe have like the fish? So who had a fish?
No, the fish was Lance. Lance was the fish or a frog. And then also Kat was a fish. And Tara Alicia was, I thought Tara Alicia's bear was quite cute, actually, but they weren't having it.
Yeah, I honestly can't remember that. I remember that line, they were saying, looks like he took a dump on his plate.
That was for Mitchell, wasn't it?
There were some really bad ones. Yeah, it was Mitchell's.
Yeah, hilarious. But the winners of this was Trevor and Kat. They had the best pancake art. Did they get anything for it?
They got little trophies.
Trophies?
Remember the little gold trophies with the frying pan?
Oh, right. Of course. I do love seeing Khloe cleaning up here, just sweeping all the dirt underneath the rug. I'm just like, Khloe, I'm sure that there's a dustpan, but she didn't want to look for it, apparently. So alert. So the players are now introduced to the Joker, or telling them that there's a Joker in the pack, and that the Joker spoke to Kat and Mitchell before they entered the circle. And so they were reacting, and what did I write here? Okay, so the people, they can't be rated. They can rate, but they can't be rated, the two new players. Player rankings for other influencers. What am I writing here? Why did I write River can be rated, can't rate but not be rated? Was River an influencer? Oh, because, of course, because Courtney chose River as an influencer. So River is one of the influencers, and now when they're going to be rated, River cannot be rated, but will be participating in the rating. Got it. I know what I'm talking about now. And also Kat and Mitchell cannot be rated, but they can rate because they're the new players in there. And so they get a week freebie. So some of the ratings that they showed for us, I thought was interesting, were the number one. So Mitchell put Emily as number one. So that awkward, clunky flirting was working with Mitchell. River has Lance.
Like they worked.
Right? I'm like, how did that work? Wait, Lance, I think Lance thinks River is the Joker, or River thinks Lance is the Joker. One of the two. No, Lance thinks River is the Joker, I think. So Kat as number one is Courtney. Terralicia's number one from Lance. So Lance puts Terralicia number one, which I thought was surprising. And so I was like, is Lance going to be an influencer? Because it seems like he had some people putting him in the number one position and some number two. So I thought that was going to be maybe what was going to happen. So cut to Terralicia wanting to get to the bottom of the Joker. So she opens a private chat with Kat, her girl, Kat. And so she's very direct with Kat. And Kat named Khloe and Terralicia, saying that that's what the Joker said to watch out for her. So now Terralicia thinks that it's Emily that is the Joker. What do you think about Emily's deduction that it is Emily for sure?
You mean Terralicia's deduction about Emily?
Correct. Did I say Emily's deduction about Emily?
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
That's okay. I think that what Courtney wanted to happen is exactly what happened. And I think the reason why it was because of all the drama around 1 and 2 between the girls that made her believe that it was Emily, because Khloe and her were the only two other girls involved in that, and she wasn't called out. So obviously it would make sense for her to believe that it would have been Emily.
I guess, but I was like, no, I don't like
it to be true.
I didn't want Emily to be thrown on the bus. Like, I didn't want Terralicia to be not thinking fully, because Kat wasn't fully sold that was the best rationale. She was kind of like, okay, yeah, I could see that. But like, it didn't fully resonate with her. But Terralicia was like, okay, it's 100%, it's Emily, 100%. And she's just like full force going to be going down that direction. And so I thought that she should have maybe thought about, okay, maybe it could be someone who wanted us to be doing this. You know what I mean? So I thought that she should have just thought about it a little bit more instead of just like taking the bait. I thought she took the bait. So wow.
She did. And you know what's funny is that I think if we recall from previous games, Emily said that Khloe was her best friend with the emoji. So why would Emily put herself in a position to say that against Khloe? I mean, maybe I could see Terralicia, but why Khloe? You know what I mean? It just seems too. It's too framed, in my opinion. Like,
yes.
I would have thought about that. I would have like, it's too. Whoever's doing this is trying to frame Emily, essentially.
That's exactly my point, is that just seemed too obvious for, like you're getting all the perfect information to set up Emily. Like, you don't think that whoever is the Joker didn't have that as their intention, to make the easy thought be what you go for. And so it was kind of low-hanging fruit. I thought that she could have had a little bit more thought about it and she would have maybe figured something else out. But she didn't, so we hear the alert, and number 6 in the bottom position is Teralisha. Number 5 is Lance. Number 4 is Emily. Number 3 is Trevor. Number 2 is Khloe. And number 1 is Courtney. So Courtney will be the second influencer. So he did some good work here, having it be choosing River and then himself being able to get into the number 1 position. So it definitely worked out well for him. I didn't want Courtney to be an influencer. I wanted Khloe here since they were the final 2, just because I thought that he was going to be pushing for Teralisha, and I would have rather many other people to go over Teralisha, but we got what we got. So River and Courtney are in the influencer chat, and they both feel that Khloe's going to be safe here. Lance is harmless. River was concerned maybe about Trevor. But Courtney kind of shot that down. And in the end, Courtney kind of wants to target Emily, but that's not what River wants. So that doesn't end up happening. So they allow for Courtney to be the one that delivers the information. So what did you think about the fact that Courtney tells River about Savannah's visit and about him deciding to deliver the news of the blocking?
I did think it was really like I was trying to think of the motive there. Like I think he was trying to push for Emily to go. I think that was his opportunity to tell people or tell River, I guess, that Savannah had come over to see him. I think it would have been sketchy if I were River at that point. Like, why are you just bringing this up now? Do you know what I mean? Like, I would think there was some sort of other intention there, and it was. So, I mean, I don't know. I think, but to be honest with you, everything sketches me out though. So
So true.
I would be that guy that's like always thinking, like, what is this person saying or doing, and why are
Of
they
course.
doing it? You know?
Absolutely. I would I would be writing out every single conversation we had with everybody and being like, would they actually say that? I don't know. Yeah, I would be taking crazy notes, 100%. So Laura says, Khloe has no idea how to clean. Have you seen her kitchen counter? It's a mess. Oh my God. I mean, I probably would be a mess if I was in the circle too. I don't know. Is it me, or is River, aka Lee, kind of creepy holding on to that picture of young River or whomever he's channeling as River? I think it's the combo. Just like River is a real person, but I think that Lee, like in choosing that particular profile and then having what Lee says as River, it just all doesn't make sense. It just like it's does something about it doesn't work, and I think that that's where the creepy vibe is, because it's just like it's a disconnect. It's kind of like how Trevor doesn't feel as though what Emily is saying would come out of her mouth. It's just, I think it's the same with Lee, is that we're feeling like how Lee is acting is making us feel uncomfortable with that's supposed to be what we see in the picture of River. So I think it's just the disconnect of it being a catfish. I think that's my thought there.
Yeah, exactly.
So episode 7, we get right to it, and Teralisha is blocked, and she goes to see Khloe, and sees like Khloe and all of her like wanted catfish pictures that she drew of Teralisha. I mean, I know she knew that she was a catfish, but the producers knew that she had that up on the wall, and they just wanted to have that moment happen. So Teralisha does tell Khloe, though, that she's suspicious of Trevor. Wait, no. Khloe tells Teralisha that she's suspicious of Trevor being catfish. And Teralisha tells Khloe about her conversation with Kat and how she thinks that Emily might be the Joker. So what do you think about their little meeting?
I thought it was funny. As soon as I saw that picture up on the door, I was like, they obviously told her to do that, because the one scene she was basically walking away with saying, "Oh, I should put this away. Is this rude?" So I was like, they obviously pushed for her to keep that up there. So I thought that was funny. But yeah, I thought that their conversation went really well. Like they seemed really surprised. She's like, I thought you were a catfish the whole time, and no, I'm real. But yeah, that whole thing, like I feel like in this situation, I feel like Emily's just being set up. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Emily's just, for some reason, everything seems to be going towards targeting Emily, and I don't know if this is production's doing or like that's kind of the script that they're going with for this season, but that's what it feels like.
Yeah, it does. So she leaves, and we get an alert from Teralicia, and she comes onto the screen, and she says quite a lot of things. A lot of people are like, "Oh, she's so sweet. Oh, I'm so sad that she's gone," etc., etc. But she leaves it with, much like the circle, the Joker, circle Joker. What goes around comes around. So she's kind of threatening Emily here, but Courtney is taking it a little bit to heart. I find it interesting that Courtney's getting offended when it's not him. It's not him.
Quote unquote. Well, that's the shit, because at this point, if I were him, I would be thinking, does she know that it's me, or does she think that it's Emily? Like, so I think that's where his concern came from, is like, does she actually know who it is? So that's probably why he took it to heart. It was more of a concern thing than it was anything.
Yeah, it was a concern thing for sure. I'm just like, the fact that because he gets so mad about things, and like we've already mentioned, he doesn't let them go, and it's kind of like, well, you already planted the seed, like you did what you wanted to do, so wouldn't you think that Emily was the person that she'd be talking about? So I was just surprised that he was being offended by what she had to say when he set her up, Anyways, I guess because she didn't clarify it. Exactly that. So River doesn't believe that Emily or Trevor. So his catfish radar is up. And Dolores is commenting that maybe that's how Lee gets into character. Like when he writes a book, he has to get into character. So maybe that's why what he's doing by holding onto the picture to get into character. It could be that. It could also be to remind him that he's not being himself. And so holding something will be like, oh shit, like River, what would River say? What would River say? Because if he was just like sitting there doing it like as himself, he might just forget that he has to be somebody else. And so I think it's just to make him uncomfortable so that he remembers to be acting like River instead of falling into the habit of being himself. It's kind of why I think he actually does it.
Now he's got a visual to remind him. I'm sure it could be easy to get lost in conversation as yourself and forget that you're playing a character. So
do you think that it was a good idea for Khloe in the circle chat to admit that Teralicia came to see her?
Not really. I mean, I honestly, at the end of the day, like, I would have suspected that she probably would have gone to see Khloe, because Khloe was one of the people that she was, starting the game off with. So, no, I don't think so. I think it would have been fine. I mean, the only thing that would concern me, which Khloe at this point doesn't know, is if she had known, would be like, what would Courtney think about this, right? But otherwise, I don't think people really care.
I think that for Khloe it was okay, because this Khloe is just very likable, and she's quite like always in good spirits, and so I think that if anybody could get away with it, it would be her. But for most people, I'd be like, maybe you should just keep that to yourself, because especially with the message that Teralicia left, it's kind of like, oh, what did she tell you then, and who are you targeting? And so it would make me want to be asking some more questions for sure. For sure. Now Lee is going to become, or / River is going to be becoming the catfish hunter, because Teralicia is another real person going as themselves. And so if all the people they've blocked so far have been real, there must be at least a few catfishes still in the house. And we know that there are. So we know that there's Trevor. We know that there's River. We know that there's Emily. We know that there's Lance. Am I missing anybody? Probably. No, I think that's it.
No, I think that's it.
So 4 out of 7, that's a lot of catfishes. Definitely. Mitchell thinks Courtney is the Joker, which I thought was really interesting that he was able to deduce that. Maybe there's some chats we didn't see, but do you have any reason why he thinks that?
There must be, because I was thinking the exact same thing. I was like, how and why does he think Courtney? Like, where did that come from? Because there was nothing that we saw that, like you said, showed any sort of doubt with Courtney.
Unless it was the time when he said, when he said, I wasn't visited by Savannah, like maybe like that lie there, maybe it made him just start questioning him, maybe. Je sais pas. So Kat
I don't know.
does a private chat with Mitchell and Lance, which I think is an interesting trio. Mitchell is basically her best friend. They kind of have like a we came in together type alliance. And then they bring in Lance. And so Kat wants to trap Lance here and talks about a specific tour that she went and saw, I guess it was ending. And there was a jacket that she mentions and whatnot. And Lance does not answer this correctly at all. Why is she so bad at playing Lance Bass?
I don't think she's very strategic. Honestly, I just think she's trying to. Her main goal is to look like Lance, not think outside of that. You know what I mean? So, but in doing so, she's making herself look so catfishy.
She looks like a catfish. Like you don't just dismiss what the question or being like, oh, that was a great tour. I love that arena when someone asks you specifically about a jacket. Like and it's fair for you to say, like, I don't remember that jacket. Like, honestly, I've been on hundreds of tours. I don't know. I really don't know. That's more believable than brushing it off.
Listen, like, we literally had to change our costumes 3-4 times per show, right? So, I mean, I don't remember. That was 20 years ago.
Exactly. That would have been easier to get away with than, like, kind of lying and deflecting. But she doesn't seem to get that.
With my sister probably has that in her closet.
Like, what? No. So we get a challenge. We love a challenge in the circle, and it's set by special guest Jonathan from Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. And so they had to make glamoquins, and they want them to be bold, to be extra. And so basically they get a mannequin head with all these different decorations, stuff, makeup, etc. And they have 30 minutes to make a mannequin head to their likeness. Did you like this challenge? And whose stood out to you? Which mannequin heads did you enjoy?
I fucking loved this challenge. I thought it was hilarious. I loved every second of it. I think that some of them should have been, like, for example, Trevor's was too good. Like, I would have purposely toned that shit down, made it look somewhat ugly. Like, it was too good. Like, even
rose on your cheeks. Guys are not going to put rosy cheeks, babe.
No, they're not.
No rosy cheeks.
So that would have been an instant, like catfish. So that, along with just the way he talks, I would have been instantly like catfish. But
and people were saying that it had like a feminine feel, and they didn't believe that a guy did it, and like it didn't look like a guy did it at all.
But I think Mitchell's was really funky.
I said I thought Mitchell's was ugly.
Yeah, it was definitely I would have been like, huh? Anyway, I don't know if I would have thought it was actually Mitchell or not, but for sure Emily's was awful.
Okay, when they showed Emily's though, the music, it was like just like whoa, 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 like just so sad, the music, and Emily's just like going to lie on the ground because like she's dying here because it's just a sad mannequin. so sad. And it was that was a dude. That was done by a dude. Like nobody was fooled by Emily anymore. It was done. Anybody that thought that she might have been a catfish or not, or like was questioning it, now is like 100%. That was made by a dude, and it was hilarious. That whole little moment. So Jonathan,
I felt so bad for him, but at the same time, it was hilarious.
It was hilarious. It was my favorite moment of that episode for sure. Like that sad music, I laughed so hard. So who else is like? So Cats. I don't remember what Cats was. I think it was okay. If I kind of remember. Oh, they hated Lance's hair, and like that was another thing that was outing people, being like, "Oh, he's been in the chairs so many times. Like he knows how to make his hair look decent. Like why does his hair look that?" Which is another thing. Like How do you not know how to make hair look just a little bit better than that? Just a little bit. Like, a little bit.
I mean, yeah, exactly. It's like,
She
come on, you've had
sucks.
the
I'm
same
sorry, Lisa.
hairstyle.
Come on, Frost.
She's not
Like,
good at portraying him.
make a joke about when he had frosty tips in like the early 2000s. You know, like his nickname was Frosty Tips. Hilarious.
Yeah,
She should have done
100%.
that. Like, she should have made fun of himself if she wasn't going to do a good job. So yes, it confirms that he was the catfish. The winners was Trevor. So Trevor, even though it was kind of feminine, Jonathan still felt that was the best one. And she gets a knock at the door. She gets a trophy for her win. So I wish that they got power or something instead of a trophy. I'm always like, what are they going to get? And I'm like, oh, it's a trophy. Womp womp. I want a power.
I would have loved something. But I thought Cats was the best. I believe it was Cats. Was that the one like that with the closed eyes, with just the eyelashes? Was that Cats?
Yes, it was.
I thought hers that one was perfect.
It was a very nice one. I think that she was probably a close second. It definitely was. It was pretty, and it looked nice, and it looked like it was done well. And Khloe's actually was quite nice as well. Khloe's was quite pretty. Mm-hmm. But I guess Trevor, because if you're thinking about it, of a guy doing it, like it was like probably impressive that a guy could do something like that. So maybe that's how it's looking at it. So before, though, that was resolved, Mitchell starts a brotherhood chat with Trevor and Lance, I think it was. And so basically Trevor wanted to know about the ladies, so laying it on thick. Was it Trevor? Was it Lance, or was it River? Who was in the brotherhood? Must have been Lance.
I think it was River.
River's there too?
Trevor, Mitchell, and Courtney? I think. I can't remember.
I don't know. I just put brotherhood thinking that I'd remember, and now I don't. But they want to start a boy band, which is kind of funny and cute. Trevor is going to be Mitchell's wingman. He kind of alludes to the fact that he's interested in Khloe. So this sets up Mitchell for now basically having another chat with Khloe, and instead of being super flirty, which is what Khloe was hoping for, she gets kind of clued in that somebody must have said something to him, because there was no flirt, there was no banter. She literally got friend zoned by Mitchell. How do you like Khloe's reaction to being friend zoned?
I thought it was so funny, because she seems like the type of person that you would never expect them to stop that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Khloe, I can't be friend zoned.
No.
I thought it was funny, but yeah, I instantly would have thought the same thing. Like, who did he must have talked to Trevor or somebody else about Trevor.
So Khloe thinks Emily and Trevor are both potentially catfishes and maybe giving her a little bit of red flags. We kind of already talked about how Trevor says the right things and is just kind of like too nice or something. So something's off. And then Emily, people are kind of like, especially with the mannequin, they're just like, no, we don't believe any of it anymore. It's like, no. So Emily 100% thinks that he's fucked after this. What? Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, if you're going to make it look that bad, I would have just stopped and left it a blank mannequin head.
Well, maybe just be like, I'm so bad at drawing. I don't wear makeup. Like, this is so embarrassing. Like, maybe something like that. But like, what he did do was not helpful for his game. But he was crying. So the circle's not taped anymore.
He knew.
Have you talked to him? Like, have you messaged him or had any sort of interaction with him since it's started airing?
No, basically I was just a couple comments here and there, but nothing like conversation wise, no.
Oh, but yeah, I would be like messaging him and be like, oh my God, I'm watching you on the circle. No?
Yeah, I haven't had that. I was just going to wait till it was kind of done and then maybe see you talk to him at that point.
Oh my God, do you think that we could get him to come and talk with us about like the end of the season? Do you think he would maybe do something like that if he's allowed?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I can ask him.
If he's allowed, that's so cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that he has strict rules and have to be approved and all that stuff. So yeah, I get that. But if he can, I would love it. it's already done, so there's no spoilers or anything like that. So that could be kind of cool. Definitely cool. So there's an alert, and the next ratings is going to have huge consequences because 2 players for the circle are going to be blocked. What do you think about having 2 people kicked out of the circle instead of just the one?
I always love those. I believe this was the one where they were like, there's going to be no influencers. It's the bottom 2 votes. So for me, like, I don't know how much these people have seen from previous seasons, but you always have to be careful with the rankings, because when you try to be strategic about a rankings is when they start changing the script and completely screwing up everything. So that, you know what I mean? We've seen it once, we've seen it twice, where people rank people low that they really like as strategic moves, and then they end up leaving because of the twist for the round. So it's like, I wasn't surprised to see it. I just didn't know when it was coming.
Exactly, and I'm always kind of like, when people are too strategic and too cute, you're right, it always bites them in the butt. You have seen the Circle UK3, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And we saw that happen brutally with yes, Manrika. To Tally and from Manrika being like, oh, I don't want her to be an influencer because I want to try to get out Emma and Gemma. And so she ranked her low, and it was a similar situation like this where they were just, well, Andy ended up having to beat the blocking, all this stuff, but Tally ended up going, and that wasn't exactly what she wanted to have happen. So yeah, you're 100% right with, like, don't try to be too cute and strategic because it doesn't necessarily work out for you. 100%. So we're on to episode 8, and we see that Emily wants to get to know Lance a little bit better. So Emily's just kind of like, oh my God, damage control. I need to go and figure out how I can maybe get some votes here because the blocking's happening. So he talks to Lance, and they talk a little bit more about space stuff and him being a, what's it called? It's not an astronaut, but it's a
cosmonaut.
Cosmonaut. I didn't really know what a cosmonaut was. Do you know, have any better knowledge than I do? What's a cosmonaut as opposed to astronaut?
Cosmonaut is, yeah, it's basically just what they call people that like look at, like, do space and stuff.
Space stuff? Perfect. The official terms. People that do space stuff. Exactly, it's in the dictionary. I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing you. Okay, but I get what you mean. The NASA definition of the cosmonaut is people that do space stuff. Yes. Okay, you got it. So that was pretty much their whole thing about their conversation, talking about how he kind of got into it and he was going to be doing a space mission of some sort, but it got canceled. I think that had to do with Elon Musk, didn't it? Like, Elon was sending some people up into space, and then it was costing like 80 billion or something. It didn't end up happening. I can't remember how that went down. But I do remember that he was going to be going to space. Say that again?
Yeah, I believe they're doing, they're actually making a space hotel, which will be, I think maybe it is Elon, or I know Richard Branson already has the Virgin, like, spacecrafts and whatnot. I think those are already out there, but they're working on a hotel just outside the atmosphere.
So wait, how does that work? A space hotel? That's like kind of insane.
Yeah, no, it's a thing, and people are already, like, pre-reserving, and it's like a ridiculous amount of money to go, obviously, but yeah, I can't remember too much. I just read about it a few weeks ago, but I can't remember if it was Richard Branson, like, from Virgin, or if it was Elon Musk or something, but some company is making a space hotel.
That's pretty cool. I'm not a cosmonaut or anything like that, but I definitely would take somebody up on that offer to go check out a space hotel. I'm pretty into the cosmos in general. Like, I like astrology, and like, I think black holes are really cool. And like, the fact that when you see a star, it's because it burst millions of years ago. I think that that's really cool. And so if I got that opportunity, I guess you'd be calling me a person that likes space stuff. I'd be a cosmonaut.
I do space stuff too. I mean, I literally have an astronaut on my arm.
Oh my God, you do space stuff. You are a cosmonaut. Very cool.
I'm a
Very cool.
cosmonaut.
So our
I
next
do
private
space
chat. That's what I'm going to name this episode is we do space stuff. We're cosmonauts. 100%. Dolores, are you a cosmonaut as well? So our next chat that we have is going to be Trevor. So she private chats Kat. And so this is also pretty good as well, like kind of solidifying the bond that they had. They've had a couple of other chats before. They seem to really like each other. Kat is somebody that has been saying to other people that, like, I trust Trevor. I really like him. And so it is a good idea for him to kind of re-solidify that, especially if there's going to be a double blocking coming up. And so Trevor wants to focus on Lance and Emily being potential catfishes. What do you think about them sharing this information and making like Lance and Emily, and they're right?
Absolutely. I mean, it was probably smart just to kind of build that connection, to build the trust, but also to kind of, I think Trevor's realizing, we need to start painting targets on other people now, especially with there being double blockings and all this drama going on. So yeah, I think it was smart.
Actually, I think it was Kat that wanted to focus on Lance and Emily. I can't remember who wanted. Both of them ended up like being like, but I think it was Kat, because Kat has pretty much been like, who I know about. I think these people are catfishes. I think for sure. I think it was Kat. Okay, well, and Dolores has a comment here. So Dolores says,
it was Kat.
I heard this whole year we were in the age of Aquarius, where things are really shaking. So we're going to talk about like astrology stuff. The age of Aquarius started in, I believe it was in 2012, but it should be something that goes on for about 5,000 years. So it's definitely, we're in it, but we're at the very beginning of it. So we're shifting out of the age of Pisces and we're going into the age of Aquarius. Now, what you're thinking about for this particular year is that we have a lot of planets in the sign of Capricorn. And so when it came to 2021, a lot of them moved into Aquarius signs. And so we're going to be in air signs for the next 200 years in some of our major planets. And so that's a completely different shift from it being in earth signs for the last 200 years. So those are the two different things that you're thinking of. But yes, we are at the very beginning of the age of Aquarius, and we are in an air sign cycle of 200 years right now as well. There you go. Thanks, Dolores, for hashtag liking the video. It is a thing. Wait, when's your birthday again?
May 25th.
Oh, okay, Gemini. So you're an air sign. You're with us or with me. 100%.
Air sign.
Air sign
is just to confirm, it was Kat, because if I recall, Kat was bringing this up because she was concerned about Lance because of the whole conversation about the leather jacket and the concert thing.
Exactly. Like Lance he definitely dropped the ball there, especially with people that are questioning him being real. And so one thing though, so Trevor responded with hashtag Gotti, so something about got her or gotta get her or something like that, and like hashtag Gotti. And so this with Kat solidified that Trevor was a real person, because she thinks that if it was a girl would have said got her. The fact that he said Gotti made her believe 100% that Trevor was going to be a guy. So that is now Trevor is sold to Kat. Kat believes that Trevor is a real person and not a catfish at all. So River now starts a chat with River, Courtney, and Khloe, calling them the Kardashian with a C chat. And he's Criver, so Criver. And then we have Khloe and Courtney, which are two other Kardashians with K's in the real world, which I thought was a cute little chat. What do you think about this little trio?
Actually, I thought that this might have been the first time where he did something his own age. Like, it wasn't Lee, it was a River thing to do. So I thought he finally did something right with that. Yeah, I thought it was cute. I thought it was super cute. I remember that. But with C's.
I think that coming in with the C thing, I think that was very a Lee thing to do, like in that it was just smart and clever. But I think that executing wise, it was definitely youthful to choose like the Kardashians, things that maybe some younger people would be able to relate to, and it was pop culture very savvy. And so I thought it was a good call, because I don't know if River would know about the Kardashians, but like it's the right age range. So it was a smart idea. Yeah. So she doesn't care that Emily goes now, though, Khloe, because she has Courtney and River on her side. What do you think about Khloe just dropping him like a hot potato, or Emily like a hot potato?
Sorry,
I said, what do you think about?
Cut out for a second there.
What do you think about Khloe dropping Emily like a hot potato now that she has River and Courtney?
Well, I'm not surprised because at this point, everyone already knows that Emily is not Emily. And Khloe realizes that because of this, Emily's probably leaving soon anyway. So, yeah, she needs to pick up with her. If I recall the conversation, she said, these were my friends the whole time or whatever. So, yeah, I'm not surprised. It was definitely smart on her part to find other people outside of Emily.
Yes, I do think so. But it does to me, though, it makes me feel that Khloe is not very trustworthy. And so she would easily just drop you if like something better comes along. We're seeing this happening with potentially Mitchell. You know, Mitchell comes along and he's like, all of a sudden, Trevor, who? And now that she has this new alliance going with River and Courtney, she's just like, oh, Emily, who? And so she's quite fickle in that sense. And so she should be a little bit wary that people might pick up on that and be like, oh, I don't really trust Khloe. Like she'll drop you in a second as soon as something better comes along. So just saying, she looks a little wishy-washy. So they have another game called Don't At Me. And so they can ask questions anonymously. And we know that the Circle loves this game because it brings out all the tea. It does. And so someone asked Khloe a question about her and Trevor. Do you remember who that was? Was it Lee? Was it River?
What was the question? Then I might remember.
Oh, just something about her and Trevor being like, are you really into each other? Or are you together or something like that?
I can't remember honestly who said that.
That's fine. Courtney gets a question from Emily, being, can you stop bullshitting us? And basically wanted to rile up Courtney. I thought that was a pretty fire question. And I agree with it because we see Courtney being there, being like, oh, I'm just going to lay it on thick. I'm going to pretend here that like I'm, that I'm nice, that I like this person. And so people are noticing that he's kind of fake.
I think that might have been what triggered Mitchell's thought of maybe that Courtney was the Joker. Maybe that could have been another thing as well. But yeah, no, I definitely think that. Yeah, I mean, people are seeing through that, the fakeness, the fake niceness,
Mm-hmm. Hello, Winners Happen. Thank you for joining us as well. Hello. So we're talking about the Circle episode. We're on episode 8 now. Very excited. So other questions that were definitely fire. So Courtney thinks that it is Emily that asked that question. So Courtney figured that out right away. So he's pretty smart with that. So they ask Emily, what are your top 5 makeup brands? And this is Mitchell that asked that.
Oh my God, poor Emily. I swear. Oh, every time.
That's an easy question. No, it's so easy. It's such an easy question to answer.
I don't wear makeup and I could name 5. I could name 5 right now and I don't wear makeup.
Emily names Laneige. I don't know what that is. Maybelline. Nobody really wears Maybelline, and they wouldn't probably admit to being like, hey, I'm wearing Maybelline. Like they might buy, an eyeshadow palette that's Maybelline, but like it's not the makeup brand that you usually wear for your skincare, stuff like that. It's just not a brand that's synonymous with like luxury makeup. And so nobody would be saying Maybelline, and decide to make up one collection company. Why?
Oh God. I mean, I gotta give him props for trying.
But he's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, like they believe me now. Yeah, they believe it for sure. I'm good. I was like, you're clueless here, boy. Like, I don't know, you say Fenty, MAC, like L'Oreal even in there. There's just so many that are so much bigger. Yeah, Jeffree Star would have been even to say something like that. Even if he said Sephora, Like, just be like, I don't know, I always get everything at Sephora. Boom, done. Because like that, every brand is in there.
I think he lacked a little bit of knowledge on. He should have done more studying on like girl stuff. Like that may have been something that could have potentially come up. It's come up in the past on previous seasons about makeup. So
100%. Of course it is. Like they're definitely, the producers are going to try to stump you and make you have to work hard. If you're going to play as a catfish, like they're going to do things to make it a little bit difficult. So silly. So what else do we have? So River to Trevor. How hard has it been for you in the circle as a catfish?
I love these anonymous questions. They're
So brutal. Like, how do you answer that? But I think he answered pretty well, saying that, like, you know, I wouldn't be, who would lie about being a single father? What was the hashtag? I have morals. And so she is making herself feel better about this, and even saying that she has morals because she's like, well, you know, she was raised by a single dad, and she and she does have a daughter, and Trevor does have this daughter. And so there's a lot of truth that's within it. So I think that's what's making her feel better about completely lying to these people and her morals being in question.
She's telling the truth, but not. They're like white lies, basically. Like she's beating around the truth. She's just gliding around it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it because like she's using her family and her life experience to tell the story of Trevor, which is her husband. So I'm okay with it. It's kind of like I was okay with what's his name in the UK one, Saeed. I was totally okay with him. I love Saeed.
Yeah.
So Emily wants to talk to Mitchell, but Mitchell doesn't buy it. So this is after the game is done, and Emily is just like trying to go in there to see if she can still get her flirt game on, and Mitchell is not having it anymore. And then Emily brings up the double blocking, and like, are you worried about it? And I'm just like, oh my God, these people don't have any finessing skills as to like how they can get their intentions across without completely alarming the other people that they're talking to. So yes, that doesn't really work at all. We see Kat talking to Khloe, and she's really relating a lot better to Khloe. So I guess Khloe's a tall girl. I don't remember her being that tall and too hot to handle, but talking about hashtag tall girls do it better, compliments her on her being her favorite reality television personality. So now Khloe feels really good with Kat. And so that was a really good move, I'd say, on Kat's part to be able to like bring Khloe in. Khloe likes the attention. You know, she likes people talking about her and liking her. So definitely a good call for Kat. So there is an alert. This is the alert that they're all been dreading because they're going to have to be doing a rating. And so what they showed us was that Emily is rating Khloe #1. So even though Khloe doesn't care for Emily anymore, that doesn't matter. She still gets a #1 spot from Emily. Khloe puts Kat #1. So that conversation actually did really help that out. Kat has Trevor as #1. And Trevor has Kat #1. So these people that have been doing a little bit of work, it has been working to get them in that #1 position. Oh, Mitchell thinks Courtney is the Joker. So he puts him in 7th place. And I'm like, ouch, that's going to hurt Courtney big time. We see Trevor messaging River for a little bit of a guilt trip, kind of about the question in the game, thinking that it's River, but pretending like it's not. And River was able to clock it and be like, oh, wait, is she trying to trap me here? Or he? But they both kind of play it off pretty well. And to the point where Trevor doesn't necessarily believe that River was the one that posted that question, even though it was. So pretty decent job deflecting there. So we have the alert and we get notified that the bottom 2 players are going to be blocked. What do you think about this as a twist? And finding out about it after.
Oh, I love that. I love throwing a little wrench in everyone's plans. Like that's what makes the show great, right? It just don't tell everyone everything, give them some. But I think that letting them do their rankings first and then throwing out the double is perfect. And the fact that, they're all ranking based on hoping for, influencers, and them not even having it that round. But as soon as it came down to it, I was like, "Oh, you're Emily girl, you're in trouble."
Yes, Emily is going to be in trouble. And this is the thing, though. I don't mind it as a twist, but I do wish that people knew about it in the beginning. I do. I don't like it as a surprise because I think it screws up people's games in a way that isn't, in my opinion, great TV. You know what I mean? Like, I like seeing people
but at the end of the day,
fight for them. I look how much drama that came out Teralisha not wanting to save Courtney. You know what I mean? Like having those influencers chats and people that are like, no, I'm not letting this happen. Like, no, I can't. Like, fighting for the people that they want to protect in the game. I think personally that causes better drama and makes your social game more important than just like getting to be on the bottom of people making strategic choices in a round that's not the finale.
Well, the one thing I will say about that is I sort of agree with you. I like that there's kind of thrown in twists and whatnot to screw everything up. At the end of the day, even if like you are at the two at the bottom, chances are if you're at the bottom, you're there for a reason. So you might have likely been picked to go anyway. But with that being said, had we done a normal, influencers and they had to pick, that would have been a lot more dramatic, seeing as they were coming back as a new player anyway, because they would have known who did it, right? So
yeah, I mean,
I totally see what you're saying.
Poor Emily. Yes, he did zero homework on girls. And Dolores also says a heads up would have been interesting to see. Be like, oh, this ranking is going to be a little bit differently because today the two at the bottom are going to go home. And you'd see people be like, oh my God, how do I make sure that I'm not on the bottom? And so I think that would have been more interesting than being like, oh, psych, what you thought was going to happen wasn't. Like, ta-da. So I thought that they could do it a little bit better personally, but I can see it both ways. It works decently well. So fine. So the rankings go in the number 1 position is Khloe, number 2, Kat, number 3, River, number 4, Trevor, number 5, Mitchell. And I was worried here because I didn't want Courtney to go, but Courtney did end up nabbing the number 6 position, Lance number 7, and Emily number 8. So Lance and Emily are blocked from the circle. My first reaction was like, ooh, I feel like they don't want to get rid of both of those people yet. I'm like, I wonder if they're going to make them play as another player, kind of like what they did in season 3 of the UK version. So that was my immediate thought. Yeah. Did you have this thought too?
Yes. I had the exact same thought. I was like, something is happening here. I wasn't sure if it would be both of them or just one of them or whatever, or there would be some sort of new thing that they would do, kind of like what they did with the Inner Circle and the Joker. I thought maybe they were going to have to compete or something with a challenge or whatever to play as a new person, but I knew something was coming.
Well, that's what I first thought, because I think they didn't want to get rid of Lance and Emily yet, so they definitely had them go to meet the player that they want to block. So Lance wants to go meet River and Emily wants to go meet Trevor, and they all end up meeting in an empty room, and that is because the two of them are going to be playing as a new player. And we don't have the name of the new profile, but it is a seemingly maybe 50-year-old, 6-year-old man with, I think he had a mustache or a beard. They're going to be playing as him. So what do you think about this little twist?
I like the twist. I think that it's going to, I think they like to pre-plan for the next 4 episodes, so having 2 returning players coming back knowing things that these people don't really know that they're playing as another person, right? So they can kind of start stirring the pot and making people distrust each other, whether or not people catch on or not. But I think the fact that she's a bit older and he's a guy, I think that combined, they might do okay with this.
Yeah, because they'll be bouncing things off of each other. Like, there's no way that Emily would have lost that makeup challenge if he was in the house there with her. And so I like the fact that they chose a person that's different from both of them, but they could talk to and they can totally conspire and figure out a way to make this character believable. So yeah, I think it's a good idea for them. I'm happy to see them both stay. I didn't necessarily want them to leave. I like that they're going to have a lot of information about the people in the circle, and hopefully they will use it for good, not evil. So I'm liking this twist. I'm interested to see what happens next week. Was there anything else about this episode that you wanted to talk about, you or Dolores or anybody else that's in the chat?
I'm excited to see what they
Phil?
do with this new character.
With the new character?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with that. I still have yet to see the villain that Jack says he's going to be. There's a difference between being a villain and being submissive and shady. You know what I mean? A villain does their best to cause chaos, and I don't see that with Jack. But I definitely want to see what he does with another person beside him, you know? So we'll see.
We will see. I'm definitely liking this whole season. I don't want necessarily Alicia to leave. I wish that she maybe got a chance to come back to play as another player or something. But I'm definitely enjoying it. I think that it's way above season 1. I'm way more engaged this season, absolutely. And so, yeah, I can't wait to talk to you next week about the next 4 episodes. So do you have anything going on that you want people to follow you at, or, you know, give them some information about?
Same as last week. Other than that, no. You can head over to my Pokemon Master Trainer game on Facebook. You can watch me on Survivor Rodwood. I'm playing that right now. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm just watching The Circle, loving reality shows, just like everyone else that's watching this. So, yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Matt, for coming here and hanging out with me and talking about one of my favorite shows. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Reality or Realness with 3 S's. We will be back tonight to do our coverage with JoJo on the block with me for Big Brother Canada Season 9. And then join me on Saturday while I'll be doing a roundtable about The Circle on Couch Potato Queens. So thank you so much, guys. And remember, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe, because everybody that subscribes and sends me a screenshot to Reality Realness with 3 S's, I'm going to give them a $100 Amazon gift card. So just do it and get me to 1,000 subscribers so I can have a live draw and give somebody the money. Yeah. All right. Love you guys. Take care.